The amazing Elyse Verkuylen is here to share her career stories as part of the Career Stories series. I'm really excited for this conversation because Elyse has been a previous client of mine and I've loved watching her journey. She's intentionally curated her career to fit what she wants and her skill set. So I'm excited for this. I'm going to introduce her and we'll jump straight into the episode. Elyse has a background across senior marketing, operational leadership, and business change. She's led cross-functional teams to deliver customer-centric growth initiatives and is now leading large-scale transformation within a complex, fast-paced environment. Possessing an uncommon blend of strong process and people orientation, Elyse is passionate about creating clarity in the chaos and empowering others to do the best work of their careers, bringing bold ideas to life with energy and momentum. Now, let's jump straight into the episode because she has so much gold to share with you. Elyse, welcome to Lead with Less. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, me too. And you are our next Career Stories series feature. So I'm excited to be talking to you and getting your perspective, your ideas, your thinking on leadership and also your career in general. And I know that a lot of people will really benefit from what you have to share. And I just love you. So we've been working together for, almost over a year now, I would say. We've been working together in various things. You've done the VIP Leaders program. You did my Confidently Thriving program. And we've done some one-on-one coaching as well. It's just been such an amazing journey. So it's really great to have you on the podcast.
Oh, so happy to be here.
All right, let's dive in. Talk us through how you got to where you are. What are some key points in your journey that people would find really interesting?
I'm going to go right back to the start, actually, because I think fundamentally our early experiences shape our identities and our values. And certainly my early experiences have shaped who I am today and how I approach leadership. So I actually grew up in small town New Zealand, up in Northland with single mum and 3 brothers. And growing up in this environment with limited resources, I learned independence and how to be resourceful from a really young age. And even as a kid, I was always really comfortable within myself, really introspective and self-assured. So that coupled with the hardworking traits modeled to me by my mum, who was hustling to create a better life for us all, it really shaped how I navigated the world and the workplace with curiosity and drive, and I guess a deep belief that I'm always capable of more, and knowing the importance of that consistency and discipline to make things happen. Also growing up, I was always attracted to the idea of bringing people together and getting something done as a group of people. So I'd always grab any opportunity to step up and lead, whether it was taking lead on school or university group projects, through to taking on a retail store manager role when I was a teenager, through to being actually just quite promiscuous in my career in my 20s. And what I mean by that is I proactively got exposure to different things by leveraging different environments that I was in. So I started my career off in branded experiences, which really taught me how much I just love that human-to-human connection that brand and marketing creatively facilitates. And then from there, I did move into more formal marketing roles at some of New Zealand's top companies and worked my way up into marketing leadership positions. And along the way through this journey, I discovered my strengths and passions in operations, communications, and change management. So I am a real believer that, your day job doesn't define you. So I've always pushed myself into different projects that looked interesting or that I could learn something from. I've built relationships across different areas of different businesses and even outside of my employers that helped me get wider exposure, and done some pro bono work outside my day job to help build up those skills as well. So this kaleidoscope of experiences gave me a greater sense of self ultimately and helped me really figure out what I was good at, what impact I wanted to create, and has really helped me lead more authentically today.
Oh my God, I love that. Particularly, I really loved how I had a quite promiscuous approach to my career. I really love that because as you were just sharing so much around, you really did things that were interesting. You really put yourself out there to take the lead, to do different things. It reminded me so much of my own journey. Yeah, I didn't just leave things up to other people to tell me like, oh, you stay in this lane or you do this thing or you're ready for this. I would go and seek out what is it that I wanted to learn next? What is it that I wanted to develop next? And almost have that same like promiscuous, you're probably going to help me do that. So I'm just going to be friends with you and I'm just going to see if that's going to help me get to where I want to go. And yeah, I really love that that's been such a big part of your career because it also shows in what you're doing now, like with the secondments you take, with the projects that you look to take on, you're always looking at the next way to develop, to close a gap or to develop that skill set. Would that be accurate?
100%. Yeah. So I really saw my 20s as let's just make some connections. Let's go out there, try different companies, different roles. Let's figure things out because that's what your 20s are for. Like, you don't need to be set in stone here. Go out, try different things, let people help you try different things. And then as you move into your 30s, you come in with more clarity on what you want to do and the value you want to add. And you can still take that kind of approach to finding these opportunities, but you can be a lot more strategic about it because you've tried so much in your 20s. You've got that clarity as you move into the 30s.
Isn't it wild that we're saying like when you get to your 30s, oh, I've been in my 30s for ages. I'm so experienced here, so seasoned. Given all of that, given how you've navigated your career, really curated your career, I would say, being really intentional or just maybe not intentional back then, just, oh, like this seems interesting, this seems fun, but now getting really intentional. How has it influenced your approach to leadership? How has that built your philosophy around how you see leadership, how you approach it, and how it's created your embodiment of leadership?
Oh, great question. Fundamentally, I believe that great leaders create a positive impact at scale. And they do this by creating leadership within others. So quite honestly, I probably wouldn't be where I am today without other people helping to create that leadership within myself. So that's part of what shaped it. We know how chaotic these work environments can be, and this change is inevitable. No one has that crystal ball or that master plan. And I think the role of leaders is equipping people and making them feel comfortable with that and being open to trying these new things. So I think great leaders create that space for others, space for deliberate growth, space for opportunity, space for thinking, and space to really develop that personal agency and resilience to change as well. And with that comes asking the powerful questions, setting those clear expectations, and giving really honest and constructive feedback as well. It can be really uncomfortable at times, but yeah, I am a firm believer in creating that space to lift others up, move them into those opportunities so they can figure out their career paths as well. And building up that personal leadership in others directly contributes to that positive impact at scale as well.
I really love what you said, creates a positive impact at scale, because that really feeds into that influencing aspect. Like people think that, oh, I'm only a leader when this is true or when this happens or where I'm in this position, but we're actually a leader in so many contexts. And it is actually scaling, right? Because we're touching all these people, we're touching all these experiences, and then that impacts how people then experience that experience. And it's that inception piece. But I really love your approach to leadership and how you explain that, especially helping others be leaders too. Like, I really love that. That's really powerful. If you're open to sharing, has this been modeled to you and this is how this has come to be your philosophy and your approach? Or has it not been modeled to you and you've had to actively seek out to mold this approach to leadership and how you want to show up?
To be honest, I would say it's a bit of both. I've worked with some really exceptional leaders who have created that space for me to grow and helped me find these opportunities as well. And then I've worked with other leaders who, that's not their philosophy, that's not their agency. And that's okay. Everyone's got their different style. But to me, that is what great leadership looked like. That is what was modeled to me. And it's that sense of pay it forward as well. So I feel that I had these other leaders to help build the scaffolding around me to help me climb that. So it's my job now to help do that for other people.
And it's such a good point around like our own experiences. They do influence hugely what we take forward, but that's always a choice. Like you said, those leaders who didn't necessarily show up in that way or had different views, it doesn't make it wrong. It's just actually that isn't what enables me to be successful, or that's not the way I want to approach leadership and create the experience that I want for people. And I think that's such an important thing for people to take away, is that no matter what you're being exposed to or how someone is showing up for you or with you, you still get to decide what you take from that and how that defines what you think or what you believe. I think that's such an important factor for people to remember. It's like no matter what experiences we've had, we always have a sense of that agency, like you talked about, to decide what it gets to mean moving forward.
Exactly. And how that contributes to your own unique, authentic way of leading as well, because we're all different. And by looking at different leaders and learning different things from them, whether it's what you want to be more of or you want to not be at all, that's fine. It's just another data point. It's more insight that helps shape who you are as a leader to lead more authentically as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, given that, and given how you've built your career, and given how you've stepped up into these leadership roles, whether formally or informally, what skills do you believe are important in leadership? What skills, and also what skills are you strengthening at the moment as part of your leadership growth?
I think across all levels of leadership, a critical skill is that ability to coach and being able to coach that mindset to create momentum and help people be more self sufficient and help them unblock themselves as well and not have so much of a dependency on leaders to solve everything. I think as leaders, we should be creating that clear vision and purpose and the goals that we're delivering on. But sometimes that bigger picture, particularly when the work or the path to get there is unclear, I think people can get stuck moving forwards, and you want to build up that capability and the resilience in those people. So something I've been working a lot on is coaching for this small, simple now mindset, asking others, if that wasn't a blocker, how would you approach that? Or if we could get to this goal without any extra work, what would that look like? Or what's the smallest thing we can do right now that moves us a little bit further in the right direction? A skill I'm really actively working on is to ask better questions, and seeing questioning as a way of helping people, continuously work on that to help unblock people, to help them be more self-sufficient and navigate these challenges themselves as well. And again, just building up that leadership muscle within others too.
And how do you see coaching and strengthening that skill set and practicing that skill? How do you see that directly relates to self sufficiency and other people?
It helps people see things in a way they couldn't see it before or they didn't even think was possible. I think the first thing is it's just holding up the mirror to their own thoughts. And I think having more insight on that helps people understand what other doors or what other avenues could we take here. So it's about challenging on that mindset piece that just because we thought this one way to do it doesn't necessarily mean it's the only way or the right way or the easiest way. And I think building up that way of thinking in other people helps them be better individual contributors and also helps them build up more of that leadership skill set as well.
And also, where coaching is really powerful is it helps people to start to answer questions before they come to you, or ask better
Exactly.
questions before, right? So it's not, oh, I'll just go and ask Elyse because she knows more or because she's got more experience. It's, wait, what is Elyse going to do when I go and ask her about this? She's probably going to ask me questions. And so, what questions can I ask first before I go and ask her? So, how can I
Yeah,
answer some of those questions? And that's powerful self sufficiency.
exactly. Reduces that dependency on the leader to be making all those decisions because managers, leaders, we're busy. Like we don't need another problem to solve, but we would love people to come to us with a problem and some thoughts on how they're going to be solving that. And so I think that immediately helps with that sense of empowerment and moving things faster and further. And I think another thing is it really builds that confidence in other people as well, that they know what they're doing. They don't need the leader to tick everything off or approve everything. It's, you know what you're doing. You just need to be more confident. And I really think coaching helps build that up in other people.
So you said that you are practicing this coaching skill. Has this always been like a natural thing for you, or has it been something that you've really had to build? And how are you doing that in particular with coaching?
I think a little bit of both. I think there is a natural part here in terms of that relationship and rapport and trust with people and building that up so people feel comfortable coming to you to get support on problems that they're trying to solve. But as I realized that this was something I was really interested in building more of, it's really working on what questions I'm asking to get to the heart of what someone is trying to say. And sometimes you can ask the same question 3 times to get to the core of it. And so I'm really proactively working on improving what questions I ask to unpack what is really happening behind it. What is happening when we turn the stone over? What is actually there that we're trying to solve? So that is something I'm continuously working on to improve my coaching abilities.
Amazing. And you're definitely not alone with that. That is for sure.
It's a continual work on.
So I'm going to flip the question. What are your biggest challenges to being the leader that you want to be? And what are you doing at the moment to navigate or overcome those challenges?
Yeah, it is letting go of that perfectionism and realizing that what is perfect anyway, it's completely subjective. And something I've learned is the best leaders can sustain high performance for extended periods of time without burning out. So I've asked some of the best leaders I know how they actually manage this, and the answer is pretty consistent. It's about letting go of perfection and trusting the team to deliver. How I've been navigating this recently is just getting really clear on the vision and the purpose and setting the tone for what good enough looks like. And then also being really clear on what done looks like. So I think it's about setting a really good direction and trusting them to deliver. Like that's key. And then reminding myself that I hired this person for a reason. So just let them do the job that we hired them to do and put that decision-making power where the expertise is to help create that empowered and autonomous team. And acknowledging that what you think perfect looks like isn't what they think perfect looks like. So it's holding that space for that. And it's something I'm constantly challenging myself on and building this skill up.
This goes to the core of delegation and expectations, right? Being able to effectively delegate to our team and knowing who we're delegating to, why, and then setting those clear expectations. Like you said, what does done look like? What's the reason they need to do this thing? Why is this even important? And when we can get those things really clear, like when people know why they need to do what they do, they know what it's connected to, that overarching vision or objective, and what that done looks like, they can be left to do the how and really tap into their genius. But that also allows us to be able to take a step back and be like, you know what? They know what they need to do. And you can set the expectation of, hey, if you get stuck, come and ask me about it. Or if you get stuck, what are you going to do about that? Again, that coaching element. And that allows us to open up that space as a manager and as a leader so that we then don't burn out. Because if we don't delegate, our workloads are then 10 times more than our teams. And then we're wondering why our team they're not growing as much because they're not getting access to the projects or the work or the things that they really want to be doing because we're holding on to that for whatever reason. And yeah, that perfectionism it's such an insidious, like simmering thing if we're not aware of it and we don't acknowledge that's coming up. And we can just say, look, I have some perfectionism tendencies. This is what it makes me do sometimes. And this is what I'm actively doing to try and minimize that from happening.
Yeah.
So are there any other challenges that might be beneficial for listeners to hear about? Anything else that you've had to work through or overcome recently?
Yeah. Something I've been working on is being a better servant leader and kind of flipping the script of the team is in service of me and my goals. I am in service of the team. And that's been a really interesting mindset shift for me and changed how I lead as well. It has been a challenge in terms of I'm trying to sit back and be at the back of the room with the loud voice and the injections at the right time, but giving more of that power to the teams to be more self-sufficient as well. Yeah, I think it's a different way of leading. I think it does lend itself to creating more empowered and fulfilled teams. Putting myself at the back of the room has been challenging, but I think long term, it's going to be really good. And yeah, already seeing increased contribution and ownership of outcomes as well, as opposed to me feeling like all of the outcomes are on me, and having them take on more of that ownership and accountability. I'm seeing a lot more engagement in the work and a lot more pride with what they're delivering, which is really exciting to see.
That is amazing. And this is probably one of the biggest ones coming from individual contributor to people leader, because when you are individual contributor, it is really about, okay, what do I need to do to make myself stand out, to make my work stand out? And yes, there's collaboration. We work with other people on the team, but ultimately there is always that sense of self first. But when you step into that people leadership or that people manager role, it is such an active work on to go, how can I step away from me first and step into my team first? And how can I create that space? Like you said at the beginning around your approach to leadership, how can I create that space for my team to be the leaders that they need to be, for them, what is it that they need to be successful? What is it that I need to give them or can give them for them to be able to grow in the way that they want to grow? Because ultimately that's what we want. We want our people to grow and go further. And that's not to say that we don't have our own self ambitions, because we're human and we still want to get to where we want to go. But that doesn't trump over our people. And if that's the only way that you're going to think, people leadership is probably not the space for you. So being really aware, and that takes a high emotional intelligence and a lot of that self-awareness work to go, am I ready to be of service to my team and what they need and to help them be successful? Because the more successful your team are, the more successful you're going to look,
Exactly.
because you're the one leading them.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And yeah, you're so right. It's that reframe of self-centeredness, of looking at it through your own lens, or what can I get out of this? What can they do for me? And that stepping into more of that self-awareness space. How can I help them more? How can I get more into this in a way that is genuinely helpful, that doesn't become a roadblock? So yeah, I think it's an ongoing mindset check as well, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely. It always is, right? Like on our leadership journey, we're always working on these things. To come towards the end, you've shared so much practical things that leaders can take away, that people listening can think about and start practicing. To close that off, what advice would you give to new or emerging leaders in how they can become better and more confident leaders?
Yeah, I think I've got two actually. So the first one is, if you want to be a comedian, go and hang out with funny people. And what I mean by that is that you are conditioned by your environment. So if you want to be a great leader, go and find great leaders and go and learn everything that you can from them. And know that you can be who you want to become, and you can learn those traits and routines that those great leaders that you look up to. You can do them yourself and you can be that person today. The other one is learn to regulate your emotions and improve your EQ. Because I think a lot of people get caught up thinking that being a leader means you need to be the most intelligent person in the room and know everything. I think we already have enough smart leaders with high IQs, and what we need more of is more emotionally intelligent and regulated leaders. Because it's really easy to lead through muscle memory than to consciously lead. So every day we wake up, we have a decision to make on how we want to lead that day. Going back to my earlier point about creating space, like, it's important to do that for your team, but it's also important to do that for yourself and force that reflection and know what those physical responses are to your emotions too, to keep that in check. And I think that is probably the biggest shift from going from individual contributor or leader of self positions into those people in team leadership roles. And yeah, it's so overlooked.
Oh, those are two amazing pieces of advice. I really love that. If you want to be funny, go hang out with comedians. So good. It's so true. If you want to be a leader who's self-aware, who coaches well, who has really great influencing skills, who gives feedback, who is direct, who does challenge people, you need to be surrounded by people who are actively doing those things. Because if you're surrounded by people who are just complaining and venting and just want to be nice and don't want to do the tough things, you're more likely to replicate that behavior and that mindset. So that is such a good point, whether that's seeking out people in your organization who you really admire, you look up to. And this is not to emulate them. This is not to copy them and be a replica of them. It is to be able to see the behaviors and actions that people are taking and to show you what it looks like to put that into action so that you can then go, this is more of what I want to do. So whether that's looking for people in your organization, whether that's doing a training or a coaching program with people who are doing those same things, or just finding people in your everyday life, like maybe even just evaluating your friends, evaluating the people that you're spending time with. Are they showcasing the behaviors that you actually want to be portraying? Because this comes back to the famous saying, you are the 5 people you spend the most time with. And we spend most of our time at work. So who are those people that we're spending that time with? And the EQ piece, I could not agree more with that. We are conditioned to be smart, that IQ aspect, but we are not taught early enough the EQ aspect, the emotional intelligence aspect. And this is such a big part of your upbringing. If you were brought up in an environment where EQ was a really big part of how your parents interacted with you, around your teachers, your school coaches, or whatever it might be, then you are likely higher up on that level. But if you didn't, and this is coming up in my parenting, oh my Lord, like I have never been challenged on my emotional intelligence more than I have since becoming a parent. And I'm like, oh, this is not what I signed up for. But it's so true, like how we show up emotionally, how we show up with ourselves, how aware we are, how socially aware we are, how much we're paying attention to other people, how much we are staying calm under pressure, how much resilience we have, how much compassion we have, has a direct reflection on how our people are going to be feeling and how they're going to be responding and reacting to things. And I would say also it's so much more important now because we're almost in this constant state of change. And I would say we're always in a constant state of change. I'm not saying that change wasn't happening 20, 30, 40 years ago, but not at the pace that it is now. I think this is the first time where we have more than 3 generations actively in the workforce because people are working longer, people are starting work younger, they're moving through quicker, and they're distinctly different generations. So our emotional intelligence is even more important because how are we relating to people with different experiences? How are we reacting to things that people are doing or not doing, and what's our relationship with that? Those 2 pieces are so important. And just a little plug, that's what we do in VIP Leaders as well. We dive deep on learning how to be a coach, learning how to develop that emotional intelligence and that increasing that regulation skills as well. So I love those 2 pieces of advice. And I think that they're super easy and practical that people can start with now, like just one, creating that space for you, your emotions, and then also just seeking out who am I actually spending time with, and people that I'm spending time with helping me to be the person that I want to be.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be big. Like going back to that small, simple now, who's just one person you can chat to today? What's one check-in you can do to see how you're reacting in any moment? And it's starting the habit of that. And then as you work through that habit, you can add more to that as you go. But it doesn't have to be this big thing. It's just finding those small little moments in your day or in your network or in your friend group to get that connection or to get that check-in.
Absolutely. I love that.
Small, simple now.
Small, simple now. I love that. So good. I think everyone's going to take that away. Small, simple now. Amazing. So I've got some staple questions that I love to ask guests at the end of the episode. And they're quick fire. It's top of mind. What is the best advice you've ever received that's helped you be a great leader?
This one probably stops you in your tracks a bit, but we should all be asking ourselves, why should anyone be led by us? Or why would anyone want to be led by us? Because leadership isn't a given, it's a privilege. And some people don't want to be leaders, and that's totally okay. But being a leader is not just your job title, it's the impact you create and how people feel co-creating that impact to you? And think about how is that authentic to you, and come back to that deeper understanding of yourself and what you bring technically and what you bring emotionally. But yeah, I think asking yourself that regularly is the best advice I've had.
Oh, that is a good question. Why would anyone want to be led by me? What is one thing that helps you feel courageous to do scary things?
This one I thought about actually Mike Bennett. He was the previous CEO of Z Energy. And one thing he spoke about a lot was culture. And he would say culture is not a noun. It's not something that we have. It is a verb. It's something that we do. And so putting that into the perspective of leaders, leaders don't have a culture. Leaders are culturing. And so I think just being really aware of the shadow that you cast as a leader, and that sets the tone for the culture and the behaviors that other people will start to model. So if we want brave and empowered and fearless teams, we need to set the culture by showing bravery, by showing fearlessness, and by consistently showing up, even when we don't want to, and just doing those hard and scary things. And know that once you do it, you've proven to yourself that you can do it, and it makes it a lot less scary the next time.
Be aware of the shadow that you are casting. Ooh, you're throwing some deep ones. And what is one boundary that you uphold that supports you to be your best?
I think it comes back to know what your best looks like and know what you need to do to be in that state, and commit to that and make that your number one priority. So for me, this looks like committing to those emotional regulation check-ins. It looks like sustaining those relationships with my network. It looks like continuing to learn and grow. And then also prioritizing wellness, because I think without health, we don't have a lot. Making sure I have time to move or time to decompress and breathe. They're the boundaries I like to uphold to stay at my best.
Absolutely. And those help emotional intelligence, because when we are rested, when we are looked after, we are more likely to be responsive versus reactive. So that is another really good, powerful one. This has been such an amazing, wonderful conversation with you, Elyse. I have really loved this, and I know that people are going to take away so much from you sharing your perspective and your journey. Thank you again for coming onto the podcast. It means a lot. And where can people find you that we can pop into the show notes?
Of course. Thank you for having me. It's been so great being here. People can find me on LinkedIn. So if you pop that in the show notes, feel free to message me on that if you want to ask any questions, or I'm super open to having copies and virtual copies and things. So yeah, if anything I said resonated today and you want to have a conversation, feel free to get in touch. Love to hear from you.
Thank you. And yes, absolutely. For those listening, if you do want to get in touch with Elyse, please do. And she has an amazing background in marketing, business change. So if that is something that is part of your career journey and you want to pick her brain, she's full of amazing wisdom. She helps me with a lot of my marketing stuff. So yeah, love that. And thank you again, as always, for those listening. If you want to get in touch, look into the show notes, find myself or Elyse, and let us know what you thought about the podcast. And I will be back in your ears again next week. Thank you, Elyse.
Thank you.
Hey, that's all from me today. Thank you so much for listening to Lead With Less. It means the world to me if you could take a moment to leave a rating and a review on Apple, or just rate with 5 stars on Spotify. It means a lot to the growth and the expansion of the podcast. And if you know any other people leaders who could do with a dose of inspiration to level up their leadership skills, then please forward on this podcast to them. I would really appreciate it. And as always, if you have any feedback or have any thoughts, please message me on LinkedIn, Instagram, or email. I'd love to hear from you.